further down out of their way. So it's like everything else. It's ABC, you know. Yeah. I always, you know, you sort the airway out, sort the compressions out, and then we'll get to the IO stuff, you know.
Yeah.
I know a colleague in the National Ambulance was telling me before when it came to like intubation and, you know, paramedic and AP's trying to intubate, and he's like, okay, stop pushing on the chest. And they're like, oh, no, I'm not. And keep going. You can get the airway if you get the airway, but I'm, you know, so they'll patients die from lack of ventilation and oxygenation, not lack of intubation, you know.
Yeah.
So
Yep.
That's, look, if POSA comes with.
Hey, you're listening to the Rush the Bus podcast.
I'm Pete.
And I'm Julie.
We're both paramedics, we're partners, and we work in Brooklyn.
And we love hearing other EMS folks tell their stories and what it's like to work in their system.
Thanks for listening.
Yeah, thanks for listening. We hope you enjoy it.
Rush the bus behind the 744 Gage Avenue and 750 Gage Avenue.
Usually over here, it's like an oven outside. It's 22, 23 degrees. Irish people are not generally used to this heat, you know. So
yeah, I just came back. I had to run out to the store real quick, and I got back and I like sent a picture of myself looking all haggard at Peter because I was just like, it's so bad out there right now.
88 degrees. What are you talking about?
Yeah, but it's like 100% humidity. So just that 20-minute walk, I was like dripping sweat. I'm like ordering myself coffee, and the woman is taking so long. Oh no, Simon, where'd you go? I hear you. I don't see you though.
On a bit of a technical.
Ah, there we go.
There we go.
I'm not so good with tech. No, it's okay.
Technical difficulties.
But yeah, the woman was very pleasant, but she was taking an awfully long time, and I'm standing there in my mask, like drenched in sweat, hoping that she would like speed it up a bit. So
it's fairly warm and humid over here now. We wouldn't be generally used to this kind of heat. Like I said, even it's 6 o'clock in the evening over here, and it's 22, 23 degrees outside. So it's definitely alien territory for us, you know.
Yeah, I feel like years ago I went over to England when it was like 1999 or something, and it was August, like this time of year, and you know, it had been so warm in New York, and then when I was there I was wearing like basically a sweatshirt or sweater or jumper, I think you all say over
jumper,
there.
Yeah.
The whole time it was just so cold, you know, compared to New York.
Yeah, like literally this time 3 weeks ago it was raining sideways and like 10, 12 degrees outside, cold, so you'd have like a long sleeve. Yeah, you definitely need long sleeves going out. But now it's rather definitely unseasonal. Like we had good weather back in May. Usually we get our Irish summer generally around the end of April, start of May. Like the sun will be out. It'll be really warm, and then kind of June, July. Like June, July, we're pretty miserable here. So, but even at that today, it was very hot and humid, but it wasn't necessarily sunny all day, you know, which is look, it's not raining, so
yeah, that's another plus when it doesn't rain. So
it is it's generally like I say, it was raining up to last week, and it's scheduled to rain the weekend and Sunday next week. So look, some people say if you like the Irish weather, just give it 20 minutes. If you don't like the Irish weather, give it 20 minutes, it'll change, you know. It's very, very.
Do you have air conditioning at your house?
No, generally don't need it. Even now, like I have an old shitty office fan, kind of just for summer, but generally no, we don't. I have it, like most cars will have it as standard now, and I'll use it quite a bit in the car. Like luckily enough, the vehicle we had today in work is fairly new, so it has air conditioning.
Okay.
But as like we have a brand new ambulance that's less than how old would it be now? 3 months old maybe, but it doesn't have air conditioning in it. So.
Oh wow!
What? Yeah. Oh hell no! That thing's going out of service, bro.
Just to clarify, it has air conditioning in the patient's patient saloon in the back.
Yeah.
But the crew cab doesn't have it. You can feed it in through a vent, but it's not the same as, you know, manufacturer.
Yeah, we will go and we'll put like a ton of trucks out of service, and we'll go into a spare if you don't have air in the front.
It doesn't come with it. The vehicle doesn't come with it.
What?
Wow. Oh my
Yeah,
gosh.
yeah. It's an
Wow.
option.
That would be
Yeah,
rough.
yeah.
No.
No, sorry, not that it doesn't come with it. They just, for some reason, they never seem to select the option. Same with the fire trucks. None of the fire trucks that we have air conditioning in them.
So if you go out like in Western US, they put like RV camper air conditioners on the top of the fire trucks, and then they're plugged in, like in Arizona and Nevada, they're already plugged in. So when you get in the truck, it's already like rigid inside the truck.
Air conditioning in Dublin Fire Brigade is you open all the windows and just drive faster.
It's funny how, I mean, I feel like when I grew up, that was it. My dad never had cars that had air conditioning. And we would drive every summer. We would go on like a 6-hour long road trip without air conditioning. We just have the windows open. And now I don't even want to be in my car for like the 20-minute ride to work without air conditioning because it's so humid.
Like I've been in New York in peak summer. It's unbearable, the humidity and the heat. You know, we generally don't get it that bad over here. So no, you wouldn't really have AC in the house. You know, some people probably might, but as standard, no, you wouldn't see it. You know.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess if it's not horrible. You know, like even, I mean, when we went on vacation, there was the homes that we stayed in never had air conditioning because they were right on the water and they never got that. I mean, even if they got humid, there was still a good breeze. And so no one had air conditioning. But as we got older and more, I don't know, like snobbish, we were like,
needy.
we need to stay in a house with central air conditioning, even though I don't have that in my own home. I'm sitting in my bedroom because I have air conditioning here, but I don't in the rest of my apartment. And it's horrible today. So to look like I'm not soaking wet, I felt like I should probably sit in the air conditioning.
Because we went to the ambulance station by my house.
I appreciate you made an effort.
Yeah, we went to the ambulance station yesterday. It was hot. And she's like, we need to go. Like, she was dying.
I know. I hate that humidity. I'll open all the windows open. And in my apartment, every room has a window, which is like, it seems like it should work that well, but they all face the other side of the building because the way my building is set up, it's old. And so there is no air. Like you open these windows and there's nothing, the sunlight. Yeah. So the light is nice, but there's literally no airflow at all.
So you call the back of the ambulance a saloon? Is that what you call it?
That's what it says on on any of the controls. Inbuilt from so our ambulances are all Mercedes chassis, and then they're sent off to a company here in Ireland who retrofit them out with the box, and that's literally what. So if you we push on, we've light control in the front of it, and it just says saloon. Like we just call the back of the ambulance the back of the ambulance.
Okay. Do you guys have like a favorite ambulance manufacturer where you're like, this is the Cadillac, or they're all the same?
They're all the same. So probably we had the first kind of, so the thing what you're saying about before about the stretcher and the tail lift, and the reason all the ambulances here are yellow. So they all meet a European standard. I forget exactly what it's called, but basically every ambulance in Europe has to comply with a certain standard. So they all have to be yellow. They all have to have a tail lift, and they all have to have a stretcher with a 5-point harness on them as well. So we used to have white ambulances which were much lighter, so you could drive them on a car license. So all the licensing over here in Ireland is done by weight. So once the vehicle goes over a certain weight, so I think it's 3.5 tons, you need a different license to drive it. So you need the same license to drive a fire truck as you do to drive the ambulance. So they changed, I think it was I can't remember, would have been 2006, 2007. These started maybe a little bit before these started coming on stream. Before that, they would have had like your striker yellow stretcher, which just had the strap across the waist, the strap across the legs. But when this European standard came out, that's when we had to have the tail lift. You had to have the stretcher with the kind of hydraulic lift on it.
Yeah.
It's all manual handling, saving your back, that kind of stuff. But as well, the stretcher has to have the 5-point harness that comes over the shoulder. So if the ambulance is in a crash on the way to the hospital with a patient in the back, even in cardiac arrest, that the patient is secured. So the way the 5-point harness is designed, it kind of comes across higher up on the chest, so the Lucas device or your manual CPR, your hands are not in the way of it, you know. And they all have to have this tail lift as well, with a much heavier kind of stretcher in it as well, like the one. So not every ambulance in Dublin has that big Megasis stretcher that I sent you the picture of. Most of them have the smaller one, but like that, it's still itself, I think it weighs, you know, over 100 kilos.
Yeah, it's not. Yeah, we looked up the weight. That thing's heavy.
Yeah, it's heavy. Yeah. It's not basically designed to be lifted at all. The whole idea is you get the patient to the stretcher and into the ambulance. So if you got to carry over uneven ground, you're carrying on like a board or a scoop or a back mattress. Carry them to the. It's not even designed to go over uneven ground. So we get an awful lot of sporting injuries here, say on a Sunday morning, Sunday afternoon. Guys will be playing football or soccer and or Gaelic football or hurling. Very, very big, very common over here. Obviously not as much with COVID now, but so quite common would be ankles, shoulder injuries, that kind of stuff. But they're always out in the middle of the pitch. So in the summer, it's not too bad because the ground's fairly dry. You can kind of wheel it across. But in the winter time, when it's kind of raining sideways, that ground is real boggy. You gotta carry them off on a board or a scoop or something like that. Because you'll end up getting the trolley bogged down because the trolley itself is so heavy, and then you put all the gear on top. You know?
It's funny because it's supposed to save your back, but then for those type of calls, you're actually, if anything, doing more work because you're traveling further while carrying someone.
Kind of, but I suppose again, we're as I was saying to Pete the other night, we're very lucky, very spoiled here in Dublin with the amount of resources. So we wouldn't be lifting some your average kind of 20-year-old football player without either a fire truck, or if there's plenty of other guys around, get them. You know. Two guys lifting the patient over a distance is just not. No, it's not practical. You know, you're going to hurt yourself, and then you're probably going to hurt him as well. So, that's why you're better off taking the time, getting the support and resources to keep your hand moving. You know,
I think there's a whole internet chain of videos of like football injuries on the field where there's two people trying to carry the player, and they're like, you know, it's just awful, and the person's getting flipped off the stretcher. I think there's like a whole bunch of those kind of things. So
no, you're asking for trouble.
Yeah, you don't want to. We see
most of.
We just grab people and get them in the truck because you don't want to end up on those videos. So it's just like
and that's I suppose the good part of social media is meeting people like yourselves across the other side of the world doing the same job in a different city. But the bad side of it is that every kind of public call you go to now, even today, there's something on the street, and everybody has a video camera on the phone, and it's not even like before. It's not even like 10 years ago where they would have had to go to another device to get it onto the internet and put it on Facebook or Face or Bebo, wherever it was. It's literally instantaneous now. They can share it online from their phone, and it's out there forever, you know. So that's the good and the bad of social media, you know.
Because we try to we have like newer people with us, and like we'll get like a shot or somebody outside, and the first thing like we like to do is just get him in the truck as quick as we can. You know, we put him on oxygen and just get him in the truck and do everything else. You know, because you know how many cameras are on and stuff, and who knows how quick they put that picture up or where they started the face. You know,
you're in your own safe environment that you can control it. Yeah, I know what you mean. It's as I say, it's very, very common. You'll often go to a scene or go to a case, and then an hour later, you get sent a WhatsApp message of somebody that somebody that has videoed it and put it up on the internet. You know.
Wow.
Yeah, because we have this thing called Citizen, and it like alerts you to like fires and stuff
It's an
that's going
app
around in your neighborhood. It's an app on
phone.
the phone, and a lot of times like people take video of you, and you never even saw them, and they're like out of the window, and it's better than the news. The video that they have you doing all your whole thing, and it's like, wow.
Yeah, like on a big fire or on a gunshot, or if there was like a stabbing.
High profile stuff, yeah. I know.
Yeah, like a neighbor who's looking out their window and
and we have it because it comes in over Citizen before the police are even dispatched, which is crazy. So you get like the heads up for good jobs, and you're like, I'm going to start driving that way.
Yeah. I'm not sure how that ends up working here. I think it's whenever 911's activated, and there's some delay, obviously. I guess because whoever picks up first, then they sort of like adjust who needs that call, EMS or fire. Yeah. So if it's a gunshot, they start, I guess, typing it up. And so prior to it getting to EMS, it might take 2 minutes, but you sort of know about it because it's already on there.
Sometimes some of the kind of the more violent stuff like stabbings and gunshots come to the Gardaí, the Irish cops, before they come into fire service. So where we work, our local, we work in a place called Finglas, and Finglas Fire Station is literally across the road from Finglas Garda Station. So sometimes, middle of the day or night, you'll hear their place light up with cars going out,
so you know
10 or 12. Yeah, so so you just give it kind of a minute or two, and next of all, our bells will go off at the same instant. For if it's in, sometimes it's not. But it's kind of a running joke when you hear a fleet of cop cars go by with lights and sirens. So maybe we could be going to something there in a second.
Do they have guns?
Yes and no. So the rank and file Gardaí on the street, so your beat cop or your guys going around in a marked patrol car don't. So there would be some what we call like plainclothes or kind of undercover cops that would have. So like a detective, they would have a sidearm, a handgun, and then we have 3 different types. There's 2 or 3 different types of uniformed armed police. So kind of like a SWAT team. So we have a unit called the emergency response unit. So these guys are the elite. They all kind of go around in balaclavas, have their identities hidden. They do kind of really high profile stuff. They train with the army, as far as I know. And then we have a more in recent years we have a high profile uniformed armed response unit. So a couple of years ago, there was a very high profile shooting case in a hotel at a boxing weigh-in for a boxing match between two drug gangs. One gang shot this other guy and a couple of other people, and that kicked off this big kind of gangland feud that's been carrying on for a couple of years. So as a response to that, this armed response unit was set up, and really high profile. And look, it's great to see. It's because they're not always forced. I don't know exactly how they're deployed, but like that, they're not sitting on every street corner. So if something happens and there's a weapon now, we've been to a couple of calls where there's the potential of a weapon, so a knife or something like that. And even the normal guards will hang on till these guys are close by before they'll go in.
Wow.
Yeah. It's a different approach, like walking through any city in the US, seeing what cops walking around and they've guns and tasers and the normal cops on the street over here have a pepper spray and one of the extendable batons.
Oh, the asp.
The asp.
Yeah, their asp and their wits. So that's
what
they have. There's a huge debate of it. Everybody has their own kind of their own view on it, But that's what they have.
Wow.
So what kind of cool stuff do you have in your ambulance? So you have a Lucas. Does everybody have a Lucas?
Yeah. So we have the Lucas 2. Some ambulances have the Lucas 3, and
we have regular old Lucas.
I know. No, it has a number on it. I think it might be 3.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead. I'm gonna look this up.
There's not. I don't think there's a huge difference between the 2 and the 3. The bar the carrying case, which is kind of plastic and wiped clean, which I think is a bit more practical. So every ambulance has a Lucas on it. Every ambulance has a Life Pack 15. I've seen you use a Zoll or a Phillips, is it?
Phillips.
We use a Phillips. We used to use Life Pack.
Yeah, we have
Really?
I don't like the Zoll.
So some of the National Ambulance Service use the Zoll, and some of them use the Life Pack 15.
Okay.
I don't know which or why.
They're all the same.
Yeah,
I like the Life Pack.
I
think the Phillips is nice as well, but it has a lot of like nifty little things that we don't really use in day-to-day work. I think it's more for the hospital. 3. Yeah, we have the Lucas 3, right? But the Life Pack, I don't know. I like the knob better. I thought it was like a little more user-friendly than the buttons.
Oh, and the other thing, so you guys have different colored leads, right? You have like a yellow lead or something on your monitor?
Like for an EKG?
For an EKG.
Yeah, so each of them, so on the 4 chest leads, or the 4 limb leads, sorry, are red, yellow, green, and black. And then the precordial chest leads are all different colors and numbered as well.
Okay.
I suppose it's just like that. It's just to helps you getting.
Okay. Yeah, because ours are. Yeah, we have the red, yellow, green, and black, and then our brown one
for V1.
V1, but then the 12 leads are all the same color. So I was watching this ambulance show, and I thought they were like a different color.
The leads on the 6 precordial leads are all kind of grey with different colours and numbered on them.
Okay.
I think, and then the limb leads are different colours. God only knows why they're that way. We just kind of go by the little number on the back, or force a habit now, you know. But I've never used anything but the Life Pack. We used to have the old 710 AED, and then we had Life Pack 12, and then the 15 came on. So there's a couple of good things about it. It's fairly robust, I think is a good way of putting it. And the ones we have are kind of obviously tailored to our needs. So we have telemetry built into them all now. Okay. So we can transmit ECGs to PCI centres around Dublin. Okay. And of course we use Event Tidal built into it. The latest around them have a port for a temperature probe, but we haven't got that yet, or I don't know what's coming on. I just know. Yeah. But no, look, it's they all do the same job in the end, you know. It's just what we have. So yeah, they have the Lucas Life Pack, the same Laerdal suction unit that you have. And I suppose what else we carried it would be unique. The vacuum. No, just direct disposable laryngoscopes. Okay. Yeah, unfortunately.
Not unfortunately. So
I know that's what we have too.
We do too.
I think it would be fun to play with.
We got LED bulbs, a few months ago. So
right,
that's a whole new world for us.
I've seen some. I think it's the Ambu Air Track.
Yeah, I'll send you a video. So my kid's mom, they just got the Glide Scope ES, and it records you putting the tube in, and then after you upload it to your PCR,
right?
So they can nitpick your stuff.
I've seen a couple. I did an airway management course after I qualified, and they went through a whole different range of different brands, manufacturers. One's from Ambu, where you have an iPad size screen, and there's 2 little knobs on it that you can so you railroad the tube onto this, and you use this like a little kind of movable bougie, for want of a better word.
Yeah.
But the McGrath laryngoscope, video laryngoscope, I don't know if you've seen that. It's 2,500. It's 2,500 $2,500 or €2,500.
That's a lot. It's even more than dollars.
Yeah, but it can be it can be used as a video and direct and like that. You can record and all sorts of stuff. But look, there's there used to be an anaesthetist in Ireland. He was very big in the motorcycle road racing. I don't know if you're familiar with that. You know, like the Isle of Man TT.
Yeah. Yep.
So, Dr. John Hines, he passed away sadly a few years ago in a motor crash himself. But he gave this video on video versus direct laryngoscopy, and he took the cheap disposable one at the start of the lecture, set it up, checked everything was working on it, and dumped it in a bucket of water, and gave the lecture for 20 minutes, half an hour, and then at the end he pulled it out. At the end he pulled it out, and it's still working. So these kind of gadgets are great in the right setting, but at the end of the day, at 4:30 in the morning when it's raining sideways, this thing is going to work. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it was, you know, I would be a bit of a tech nerd and a bit of a magpie when it comes to new gadgets and shiny things, but at the end of the day, you want something that's guaranteed to work every time.
Exactly.
Do you know what I mean?
So you know, like your batteries aren't going to fail. You know, you're not going to have a connection. You know,
so literally the ones we have come they're pre-packed, they're single use, and they come they're sealed. The handles and the blades all come separate, and they're all sealed. So like that, we carry each advanced paramedic carries their own separate kit. So again, you're responsible for your own. I actually have some pictures. Peter was asking for the rapid response card I'm on this week, but we carry our own kind of ALS kit, and all the BLS kit, and all the ambulances and trucks is the same. So again, you're responsible for your own kit. So you know
that's cool, because then you can you set up your stuff and you're responsible for your stuff. We used to have that with we called them like tech bags, and now they got away from that, and there's like one bag for the unit. I can
understand. Look, it's cost of, like, in a fire service like us, it's cost prohibitive to give everybody their own individual gear. So the bags have to be kind of laid out to the same standard as well. And like that, in a blind panic, in a serious call, you need to know from muscle memory where you're reaching for what, you know. So which I've noticed as well, like with the lads on my crew, I kind of gave them a quick tour, for want of a better word, of my kit bag. So look, if I ask for something, they know where to go to get it, as opposed to usually what happens is everything just gets emptied onto the ground and they go, okay, right here it is.
That's how I feel when I work on someone else's ambulance.
Oh my God,
like if
bro.
Peter's out, like a couple of months back, he had gotten hurt, and so I had like different partners every day. And my God, every time we had a job, and especially if it was like a real job, I felt like I was just digging through people's stuff. Like, what is this? You know, like
some people are hoarders,
so
bro.
disorganized.
Oh my God, hoarding is real.
Peter's very organized. So, you know, our ambulance mostly maintains itself. You know, like it's sort of like we can always go in and find what we're looking for, and the other people on our same ambulance kind of like keep it the same, and we all
bend to my
I know he's so like determined to keep it this way, but actually it is it's helpful, and everyone knows where everything is. But I definitely have worked with other folks where I get on a job and I'm like, oh, I don't see a nebulizer, I don't see this, or you know, and now I'm on a job and I'm like, okay, where is this stuff? You know, like
absolutely.
I feel like it should be here and it's not here, you know, like so.
It's the same the world over. I've often gone to work on overtime or covering a shift, say on a different ambulance or a different side of the city, and like that, you go to look for something, and in our station it's kept in this locker, on their station it's not. You know what I mean? But look, that's you have to. You're only there for a shift.
Yeah,
and that's the thing. I finally realized that. I'm like, this isn't my truck. I'm just gonna make sure the bag is good, and then and then we get in other trucks. And I'm like, wow, this is immaculate, and it's like I'm impressed, and I'm like, I'm jealous.
He'll look at people's trucks and be like, can I take a picture of this? Like, because he wants to like see how he can do this back at our truck, you know.
The theory across the fire brigade is kind of the same, that every fire truck and every ambulance supposed to be laid out the same way within reason. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that, again, as I was saying to Peter before, so when I start working, I'm on the fire truck or the ambulance, your details a number, and your number determines what gear you check and what jobs you're going to do. So the whole idea is that if I go to the south side of the city on an opposite watch, and the station officer says, okay, right, you're number 3 on the fire truck, I know what I have to check and I know where it should be.
Okay.
And like that, if I arrive at an incident and I go to say, we park up our truck and we're using gear off another truck, and I'm asked, okay, go get this. Within reason, I should know where it is. You know what I mean? But look, that's not all. You know, that's it's not always the case. If we're on a vehicle's out of service and you're on a reserve truck, stuff just gets forwarded in. You know, but look, it's all at the end of the day. It's there somewhere. You just make a good effort to find it. You know.
Yeah.
Going back to what Pete was asking about, what kind of gear we carry. What got me in touch with Pete was the vacuum mattress versus your long stiff spinal cord.
Yeah.
So most, as far as I know, most ambulances in Dublin have them. Maybe 1 or 2 mightn't have. It's down on. It depends on locker size, because it's so big. There has to be another part of this European standard I was talking about, is that all the gear has to be secured in a locked locker. So if the vehicle's in a rollover, that stuff doesn't go flying and injure you. Do you know what I mean? So everything has to be locked away in a cupboard, for want of a better word. The vac mattress included. So some of the lockers, some of the older ambulances haven't got the locker space to take it, so they're in the process of either swapping out the ambulance with a newer one or retrofitting it so it can. So vast majority will have them anyway, but it's been a game changer for comfort for patients who have, you know, either a back injury or a couple of limb injuries or hip injury or anything like that. Putting them onto this comfortable, ergonomically designed thing that fits with their body, as opposed to what's essentially a load of floorboards stuck together. You know, it's but even for I was talking to him doing a senior post about trying to carry patients down stairs or getting them into an elevator on a board, trying to secure them. You know, when they're wrapped up in this vacuum mattress and packaged properly, you can lower them down the lift shaft if you want.
Wow.
Well, not. I mean,
no, but
have special.
Exactly.
They're well secured. We do actually have we have proper gear for that. But you can tilt them. You can bend them around. You know, to get them out, and it's way more comfortable. As opposed to being strapped down to this thing and having kind of loose, you know, stuff and packed in around you to try and make you comfortable.
I wonder if it's something we'll ever get. I mean,
they have the vacuum splint. Like, I've seen the vacuum splints. I've worked in a few places, but you know, they're expensive, you know, and then they get like one tear. So
they can be repaired, and we can, you know, if worst case scenario, if you're at a scene and it punctures at the scene, you can kind of
finagle it.
To get you out of a hole, or just leave the suction on it. But they are expensive, you know. But like that, as soon as you mention medical and equipment, the price goes up, no matter what it is. You know? So with the money they spend on, like, you know, I think the life packs are what, 15,000-16,000 euros, if not more.
The price of a car, basically.
Pretty much, the ambulances themselves, I think, are into the hundreds or 100,000, you know. So, but look, that's way above my pay grade. I'm just glad we have the use of it. It makes our life much easier. You know, I've had pediatric call before, and trying to get kids lying down when they're hurt is hard enough, but trying to get them onto a spinal bars and a collar, the whole lot. So the back mattress is much easier, and you can form the one we have has kind of like almost like a pillow that can with two long parts that go down across the shoulder, so you can literally mold this into a collar and all. And the kids seem a little bit more, if you coach them well enough, they seem to be a little bit more acceptable of having this around them as opposed to strapping down tape across the forehead and you can't move.
The only kids I ever got on that, they were really bad.
And
it's
I had one girl. Oh, I was going to say, like, once there was one young girl. I mean, this is years ago because tube televisions were still a thing. But it was in a classroom, and it was like one of those giant televisions, like up on a wall, basically. And it had fallen, and luckily it fell and hit the ground first, and then came up and hit her in the face. And she was about 7 years old, and so we had to put board and collar on her. And I mean, like, talking to her gently. At that point, I had just been a teacher prior to coming to EMS, within a year. And so, like, I was able to kind of calm her down enough to get on there, and she was okay. I worked at a private school. I worked at a Montessori school.
Clearly.
And then, Peter, be quiet. Anyway, when her mom came in, that's when all hell broke loose, because then her mother was like totally freaked out by seeing her in this position and started crying, and and then the kid was afraid, and like, so
she spends a lot of money to go to Montessori school too.
Well, this wasn't a Montessori school. I was a EMT at the time.
No, I'm just saying, but Montessori schools are they're like the bougie, schools.
Well, they're very expensive. I mean, they're based off
of a lot of money to go there. So.
Maria Montessori's teaching methods of self-sufficiency and stuff.
Yeah, no, you spend a lot of money. You don't expect your kid to get hurt doing that.
People that had a flat screen TV for all that money.
Exactly.
I don't think they really existed yet. This is like 2003 or 2004. There were
way back when.
Yeah.
So flip phones, and we're doing T9 texting back then.
We didn't have phones. No one had phones. So
that was the good
not
one.
Yet.
Back then.
The good life, yeah.
I was something I wanted to ask. It's coming in my head now. You when Pete sent me over the T-shirt, which I'm modeling very well here. You had it packed in like a it was like a
it's
drug.
a German bag. All right.
Yeah. So I had to ask about that. So in some of the pictures I have to send you on, another thing we carry again as all the ALS guys, we have a shared medication bag, and obviously we carry so any of the control medications that we have to kind of sign out, like morphine or ketamine, they have to be signed out every day. They have to be locked in the safe in a locker on the ambulance and again on the car. So I was curious as to what's the story with this. Are they sealed, or is that only for where you use them? Or
okay, so we carry our narcotics on our person. So it's I'll send you a thing. But each person carries, it's like a little fanny pack, and it goes on your belt. And so you're responsible for your medications. So each of us have the same medications. And then when we do tour change, we give them to the other crew that's coming in.
It's a hand-to-hand
thing. So you count and you count your meds, and you actually open the pouch. We know this from experience.
Check the expiration dates and all that.
So you make sure that they're there, and then if there's nobody to relieve you, you put them in this pouch, in that sealed pouch. And then you take the number and you write it on our log, and then you seal it we all have keys to a special locker in our supervisor's office, and then it goes in there. So that, and then when you take it out, you look and you make sure that the number's the same on both pouches, that the pouch wasn't open. So
and even the lockers, we have our key. The supervisors have their own keys. It takes both keys to open the locker, and that's where you put that little pouch. That's your name, the unit you rode on, plus it has that special number on it. Yeah. And so that way everything can be verified and they can go back. But mostly those packages, those plastic securement packages, that's only if there's no one to relieve you at the end of the tour. Otherwise, your relief, just you hand them your drugs, they check them, and then we sign like they signed that I checked them, and we signed that we gave them away.
So we have something similar. So so when I come on shift, if there's nobody, if there's no ALS guy on before to hand over to me, I just go to the locker. It's a combination lock, and then there's a combination safe as well. And I'll take them out, check that they're there, and what everything is there. We carry two. So in our station, we carry two sets. So there should be a set of control medication for every vehicle in the station. So one for the fire truck, one for the ambulance, and we'd have to sign it out, and it has to be co-signed. Now I just get it doesn't have to be. It can be anybody once it's a witness. So he witnesses what I sign out, and then they're mine. And then they go. They're not carried on the person. They're carried in a safe on either the fire truck or the ambulance. So I lock them in the safe.
Yeah.
And then at the end of shift again, if I hand over to a medic on another watch coming on, I still have to go sign in what I took out, and he has to sign them back out again. So we're burning through rainforests of paperwork, but it keeps everybody honest. And if I use any controlled medication, it's the patient's details are put on it, so their name and their address, and whoever witnesses. So say if we carry 10 milligram amps of morphine. So if I draw up 10, use 6 and throw away 4, I have to be witness disposing the 4, and somebody has to, so I need a cosign of what I drew up, what I disposed of as well, so that you're not putting 6 in the patient and 4 in your pocket, But look, it's good. It keeps everybody honest. It's a good system, and it stops stuff going missing. And
who restocks your stuff? Do you restock your narcotics and your stuff from the hospital, or
no? It's all controlled. So the fire brigades have a district officer in charge of EMS, kind of admin, for want of a better word. So he buys in. He orders stuff from one of the hospitals in bulk. So all our stuff, and our controlled meds as well. So if for every amp or every controlled med that I use, I have to send him back the form with the witness verified what I drew up, what I disposed of, and the patient report form as well goes back with it. And then he sends out. So we have like an EMS store guy, and he'll be handed an amp of controlled medication. He will sign for it. He'll hand it to me. I sign for it, and then I sign it back into our station stock. Yeah,
and he'll get that back to you within your shift before your end of your day.
Sometimes.
So you could be running. You could be running like light on your narcotics till he gets back. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So look, it depends on, obviously if you use a load of stuff at 6 o'clock on a Friday evening, you might be running low, but again, like he's fairly flexible. Yeah, you could contact him and explain it, and then you can go to the headquarters, the Central Fire Station in Tower Street. They carry a bigger store, and you can swap out if once, provided he gives you permission for it, you can swap out your stuff once he knows where stuff is. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's all kept track of that way. So look, it works for the time being until they come up with a better system. It's limiting exposure.
Okay.
I think those are the ways to go, and I hope we're moving towards that. I mean, we have a larger system, but it seems that with the Lucas and everything, we are, because we're trying to do this as a career. You don't want to cut your career short because or illness, exposure or injury with trying to do CPR on someone going out to the hospital.
Again, the cardiac arrest protocol for ourselves at the moment is full gown, mask, goggles, and or like a full face shield. Two pairs of gloves. So literally standing there in that gear, you're sweating and you're working hard. So having to.
Simon, are you folks doing? This is the COVID protocol, or this is in general for an arrest?
No, this is the COVID protocol. Protocol at the moment. Yeah.
Are you folks still then adhering to that? That's what you're doing currently?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Even I had a cardiac arrest this morning, and we pulled up outside. There was already a fire truck and an ambulance in attendance, so they had one advanced paramedic in there. So he was in, kind of had mechanical CPR device, had the life pack 15, had everything in there. So we were kind of saying, look, normally everybody kind of barrel in, everybody wants to help and do whatever we can. But he was like, no, look, we're on top of it in here. We have some mechanical CPR device on. We have a scribe. We have ALS ongoing. So we look, you can stay outside for the time being. If we need you, we'll get you in. So it's strange times, chatting about it to Pete the last time. It's a complete change in the way we do our work. The ethos in the fire brigade is everybody gets stuck in and gives a hand to get the job done. And now you're kind of saying, look, no, we'll keep guys outside, and you've a couple of guys in there doing manual CPR because sometimes the Lucas doesn't fit. Sometimes it's in an awkward spot. It's always kind of stuck down between the toilet and the bathtub. You gotta go in and you gotta get pumping on the chest so you can get things started. It's hard work in that. It's hard work in that gear. It's uncomfortable. The goggles fog up. You can't see what you're doing.
And if you have glasses like we do, I feel like it makes it extra weird.
I know nothing of the struggle.
Well, look, but even the guys that don't wear. So everybody in Dublin Fire Brigade was issued a pair of safety glasses, and then safety clear kind of ski goggles with the strap behind the head for these particular. So we were all given one, but so even those guys, the sweats, the sweats rolling down the inside. You can't see what you're doing. There's guys wielding needles and IO guns and trying to, it's hard work. It's a huge temptation to kind of take a peek or do whatever, but you have to keep you have to keep it on. It's tough, As I said, even standing in a room with that gear is hot. You've got to you're working and you're stressed, and then family members are shouting at you, and when keeping track of stuff is hard, But look, I say we just have to keep struggling. We'll get there in the end,
Yeah.
I know. Knock on wood.
So your IOs, do you guys do chest IOs too, or just the humerus and the leg?
No. So we do. We have the easy IO gun, and we do tibial and humeral head.
Okay.
Okay, that's what we do.
Yeah, we have the same thing. Yeah.
And the big giant red writing on every package saying not for sternal IO. I've seen the little device that the army medics use, you guys over there use, kind of one push. It looks nasty.
That can look nasty, right? I don't know if I could do that. So I just darted somebody's chest the other day. Yeah. Whew.
Oh, needle decompression.
I pulled that thing out, and the guy's like, "Where are you gonna put that?" I was like, "Don't look."
I know.
I felt bad. That's a harpoon, bro.
It's sore. It looks sore. Hopefully I never have to endure it. But it's kind of some, again, our protocols is during cardiac arrest is to get access IV or IO as soon as possible. I used to just go straight for the tibia, and it's kind of grand because you can stay out of the way. When when everything's kind of settled in, I prefer to kind of stand off a little bit just to watch what's going on, to make sure, I always tell one of the guys, look, if I'm not paying attention, remind me in a couple of minutes, in 3 or 4 minutes, I need to push another epi, or for every 2 minutes, remind me for a rhythm check, because I'm going to be up to my eyeballs in it, so it's, but I did a course in the UK, the manufacturer did like a free course. You had to get there, of course, but it was a cadaver lab on IO access, and gave me a bit more confidence with the humeral head IO about proper insertion. Because during the ALS training, we were given kind of here's the little practice part, and here's how you landmark, and but to actually practice on somebody, your first cardiac arrest or your second cardiac, you have so much going on. It's so easy to kind of go, but when they took the time, explained, you got to practice on actual body parts and tissue, So I've had success with it the last couple of times. I've had an arrest and needed IO access. Yeah, I found it very, very useful, you know. You can't, again, they're all different, you know. If you've got 2 or 3 guys trying to sort out an airway, you're only going to get in their way when you've another, you know, you've another access point further down out of their way. So it's like everything else. It's ABC, you know. I always, you know, you sort the airway out, sort the compressions out, and then we'll get to the IO stuff, you know. I know a colleague in the National Ambulance was telling me before, when it came to like intubation and, you know, paramedic and AP's trying to intubate, and he's like, okay, stop pushing on the chest, and they're like, oh, no, I'm not, I keep going. You can get the airway if you get the airway, but I'm, you know, so patients die from lack of ventilation and oxygenation, not lack of intubation, you know. So that's, look, if suppose it comes with experience, I'm still only, although I'm as long in the fire brigade and in the EMS as I am, I'm still only kind of very early on into my ALS journey and ALS career, you know. So you're kind of always learning as I go, you know.
Yeah, even I think for us, we still are learning, you know. You never know what you're going to run into.
There's always new ways, and that's the thing is, like, you know, if you've just worked at the fire department, there's a whole nother world out there. Yeah. You know, so, and talking to all kinds of people, you know, like our friends in Pittsburgh, they dart everybody with a chest injury, you know, like
Jesus, right, okay.
And they're telling me, they're like, yeah, man, we drop darts all the time. I'm like, wow.
I know.
So
look, like everything, is it necessary, you know? I wouldn't be an advocate of doing something just for the sake of it, or because you can, or because you know, it's something to talk about, you know.
There's a lot of people that do that, you know. Just because you can doesn't mean you should, you know. Like just because they're tachycardic doesn't mean, you know, you go lighten them up.
I mean,
I would be a big advocate.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I'd be a big advocate of, are your intentions honourable? Like, what are you going? Are you doing it? Are you doing it for the right reasons? You know, and look, it's. I'm sure you could kind of talk your way out of it if you were knowledgeable enough, and you know. But like that, you don't want to be walking into an emergency department, going, "Yeah, I've done this, I've done that." The doctor in a room full of people goes, "Well, why?" You know, and you haven't got, well, just because. So, you know, absolutely. Look, if it's clinically indicated, for crack on. But throwing stuff in just because there's a chest injury, I think is. If I was a patient and I had a minor enough chest injury, and a guy was coming at me with one of those pneumacat needles, I would be, get away from me, or I'm sticking that into you. You know, it's. But look, sure, it is what it is. There's all sorts out there.
Yeah, there's different ways for everywhere, you know?
Yeah, I mean, for us, our protocol is always, like, it's gotten a little more free with it, but it used to be that if you had a chest injury, like a gunshot wound or stabbing, you couldn't, you know, auscultate lung sounds on one side, and eventually you saw like a tracheal shift or deviation. But then they took that out, and now it's just basically like, you know, respiratory distress, lack of lung sounds.
Which
makes sense.
They'd have to be tensioning, like it's a lot. Like it's tracheal shift is one of the last signs.
I think it was so late, and it was like we were trying to be sort of prudent with like doing that, and that was why that was the wording. But people needed it sooner than their trachea was actually you know, deviating. So now they've taken that part out. But you know, it's, for us, we don't do it for every single. Like, you really are constantly listening and making sure. And if you're not sure, you know, it's not really necessary. Like, unless they're in bad shape and their sats are plummeting and all this other stuff.
Yeah, like the only kind of standard one we do is for a traumatic cardiac arrest with injuries to the chest. You do it as a matter of course. But no, they'd really have to be circling the drain and clinically indicate, because you're going to walk into the emergency department, and I know how they say it's even if there's not one there, you'll what was the way the doctor put it to me before? They're gonna get one by you darting them anyway, and they say it's an X-ray you should never see. We brought a patient in before who had been in respiratory arrest, and like that, listened to the chest completely absent on one side. I was kind of like, okay, here's my another ALS colleague was like, okay, you have a listen. Like, are you sure? And going, is this what we think it is? And one of the guys placed an MPA and just started bagging him up, and he was really hypoxic, and his stats came up, and his GCS came up. He came up to GCS 14, and we were like, okay, well, look, have a listen again. Okay, still nothing there.
But he's doing better.
What's his pressure? He's tacky. Okay, we're like, okay, right, let's just, we're stable now. We have a line in. Let's just go. We're like 6 or 7 minutes from the hospital, and then came back later on, and then there's the X-ray, you know. So, but I think they decompressed him in the hospital, and it didn't solve it. So we had to have the chest drain, you know. And they're saying, you know, he's going to get it once you decompress the chest. He's getting a chest drain anyway.
Yeah.
But as I said, we were two of us kind of looked at each other and go, okay, well, he's starting to pick up the GCS now.
Yeah.
Okay, right, come on, look, let's just go, you know. But I suppose being able to go back in, chat to the doc, see the X-ray, you're going to go, okay, well, look, if it happens again and I'm further out, it's a bit more, you'll be a bit more comfortable doing it, you know. But like that, just throwing it in just for the sake of it. Yeah, I don't really think you can stand over that, you know.
Mm-hmm.
We have to get Adam on here because he knows more about this.
I know, Adam.
They're like super progressive over there. So they have EMS, they force doors and all kinds of crazy stuff. So their ambulance is allowed to do everything.
Yeah, they do more than, I guess, the firefighters. Like, they really are in charge of, like, all
they do all rescue, anything rescue, EMS does it. So
really? Okay.
Yeah, they do extrication.
In their city,
In their city, they do extrication, elevator rescues, high angle, low angle, trench.
Whereabouts is this, right?
Pittsburgh.
In Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. It's so, I don't want to say it's so random, but it kind of is. You know, they have a pretty intense system over there.
They got rescue trucks and everything. So
Dublin will be kind of unique in the way we have our fire-based EMS system, you know, like, because we look after, from the fire side, we look after, you know, hazmat, we look after road traffic accidents. Outside Dublin, certain brigades, I don't think certain brigades have kind of some EMS training, kind of like first responder / EMT. But you know, if there's a like a hazmat incident, they look after some aspects of it, and the National Ambulance Service then have hazmat suits and hazmat gear as well, and they kind of do. So Dublin certainly is unique in that way. I suppose as well, even for as a firefighter getting into a hazmat suit and going in, or getting into a breathing apparatus and going into a fire, you have your background knowledge in EMS, and rocking up on an ambulance to a working fire while they're taking somebody out of it, you have your firefighter header on. You know them. You know what the guys, the BA team are doing inside, and where they're going to go and all that kind of stuff. You know, so it's good to have insight into each of the different roles.
Yeah, I agree.
Yep.
Oh, it is.
So you guys have like separate like you have like a hazmat unit and like a rescue, right? Like a rescue company and stuff like that. So I was watching something yesterday.
So we would have, so every firefighter has, you know, a background knowledge in hazmat incidents and hazmat training. Every fire appliance in Dublin carries a gas tight suit. So if we turn up and you're the first truck there and there's a casualty, you can put the gas tight suit on, go in and rescue them. Or if it's a case of they need, you know, if it's a spill and substance needs to be identified, okay, you can get this and go into the area. But then we have a bigger hazmat unit then that we can call out for longer instance, has better decontamination equipment, showers, all that kind of stuff. And then the kind of heavy rescue or emergency tender, it's called over here. Again, there's one on the north side of the city, one on the south side of the city, and that would have bigger cutting equipment for road traffic accidents, bigger jacks and hydraulics for lift and stuff, bigger airbags, water rescue equipment. So we get a big articulated truck, like a 40-foot truck, with the high cabs. It has like a little platform that can be set up to work off.
Okay.
I have a picture of it. Actually, I must send on to you from an instant. Like that. So all this cutting equipment is very bulky, very heavy, very hard to work. So trying to work with it over your head is an absolute nightmare. So these platforms are great. So you can, if you're on a big motorway, you can pull up, set this gear up. Once everything cross safe to do so, you can set all this gear up, and lads can get up and much better, much safer for the guys doing the cutting to work. You know. But yeah, it carries all sorts of extra equipment and other little.
How many guys are on it? 2, right?
So you got one guy driving. You'll have an officer in charge of the vehicle, and then you'll have one guy in the back.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So they carry. So every truck, every fire truck in Dublin has an officer on. You know, they'll have either a sub officer or a station officer.
And they go to fires too, or they just do?
They do, yeah. So we have this thing called a PDA, so a predetermined attendance.
Okay.
So based on so when the call comes in and the operator's taking the call, depending on what he puts in, he'll get, say, so your standard fire. So say there's like what would you say? Like a fire alarm. So if you've got a shop or something like that, like the fire alarm goes and an automated fire alarm comes in from a monitoring company, you'll get two fire engines and a district officer in a car, and that's your standard PDA for that. But if a house fire comes in, it's 3 fire engines and a district officer. And then if it comes in as persons reported, so if there's somebody in it or they think there's somebody in it, the PDA gets upped again. So it's 3 fire engines, the district officer, and then it's added on the emergency tender and an ambulance. So there you go. That's the PDA for domestic fire with persons reported. And then obviously then if you're into industrial fires, warehouses, it gets bigger again, or any kind of high rise or hotels, they send an aerial appliance, so they'll send a turntable ladder to those as well. So it's all kind of, we have a whole separate wing of the fire brigade that called fire prevention. So these guys will have officers and assistant chiefs, and they go out, they do inspections, and based on the size of the building, the occupancy, where it is, what risks are in it. So is there any chemical storage or any a big thing at the moment in Ireland and in Dublin is hand sanitizer. So with kids going back to school, schools are buying vast quantities of hand sanitizer, and then where are they going to store it? So the average, I think the World Health Organization minimum has to be 70% alcohol. Most of the ones you buy. Yeah, most of the ones are kind of 78%, I think. I think that's one of the shops telling me. So where are they going to store this? So that law kind of have to be reviewed. There's a big kind of social media. We have a new social media wing of the fire brigade as well. I think they're doing a big push on this. They have done already. We had a guy on the news, saying about the dangers associated with flammable liquids, all this kind of stuff.
Have you had anybody drink it yet? You ever seen anybody drinking that stuff?
Yeah, they usually mix it with Coca-Cola, or some of them will drink. The hardcore guys will drink it neat, but some of the guys,
I don't know why that's that. Like, oh man, we had somebody give us this whole. The guy said, "Oh, you guys need hand sanitizer." Give us a gallon of it from like a whiskey company. Remember that, Joel?
Yeah, we've had them.
Smelled like
that over
tequila.
here.
Smelled like tequila.
Whiskey distilleries and gin distilleries have been making hand sanitizer for when there was a shortage of it early on. 1 or 2 of them made it specifically for Dublin Fire Brigades, and very, very generous of them.
Yeah, it smells good. So,
but as I say, getting back to what you were saying, so depending on what's in what building, this is all uploaded into the computer, and then when you punch the address in, it should in theory tell you what the response should be.
That's nice.
Yeah,
we have like the same thing. So, but the amount of guys that you'll see, it would blow your mind. So
I've always wondered. I've seen some of the FDNY Instagram kind of stuff. There's a FDNY 24/7 Instagram feed. and yeah, numbers you guys certainly throw. You've lots of boots on the ground.
Yeah.
I've always wondered, Pete. I don't know. Maybe you could tell me what's your kind of approach to be guys going into it for MBA. Like, do you have entry control, or who goes where, or the guys just rock up and get to work?
So, I'll go for like where I volunteer at. So
okay,
we all have tags that tell you like if you're on the truck. So you give your tag in, and then essentially everybody you have your job like a riding position, and then everybody goes in. So the only person who usually stays outside is like the chief and the driver. And, and if like during the day, like where I volunteer, if it's shorthanded, the driver's going to work. So you're going to set up the pump and then you're going to go to work. So you're going to do something outside. Mm-hmm.
So regardless of when I say entry control when we so say you have an apartment block and it's 4 stories and you have a bedroom on 4 on the 4th floor. So we depending on where the easiest point to set up is, we'll send up entry control. So nobody goes past the entry control officer in theory without wearing a breathing apparatus set, and then he takes their individual tags off their distress unit, marks checks their name, the time in, air pressure, all that kind of stuff. I just wonder, I've seen some of the big scenes like where guys are flocking in. It seems very hard to keep track of who's going where.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's someone who does take note of everything.
Yeah, you have like
they set up a table, and the chief will be there and their aide, and they're kind of marking everything down and mapping it out. But it's a lot to keep.
You'll have one guy kind of dedicated to keep track of all these guys and where they're going.
Yeah, they have like a track. If it gets like a bigger...
on both sides, I think there's usually someone keeping track, like on EMS and on the fire suppression side.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. So it gets interesting. So like once you start adding more units and stuff like that, so then they add like more chiefs. So like there's like a resource officer. The worst thing is like I don't know much about FDNY and how they do.
Really?
Stuff.
Okay.
No, I know stuff about other places more than that.
Okay.
So yeah. So
just curious, as you, I suppose you think like people think over here. You see FDNY on the side of the ambulance. You see Dublin Fire Brigade on the side. You think that is a kind of.
I mean, we're technically all under the same.
We have the same name. It's like those families, where everybody has the same name, but
right, okay.
I don't, so. But the thing is, like, if you want to get on fire quicker, you come to EMS, so you get fire a little bit quicker. So, it's good and it's bad. So,
it's all good. It's all good.
Yeah, while you're here, just do the right thing. So
yeah,
and don't forget us when you go to the fire truck. So. That's the worst thing that I can't stand. So
all right,
You've been listening to the Rush the Bus podcast.
Thanks for staying on for the whole time.
And we hope that you subscribe, like us,
tell your friends,
go on Instagram,
do all the things. Thanks.
Bye.
Right the bus behind the 744 Gate Avenue and 750 Gate Avenue. 10-4.